10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
All systems go.
You're listening to Sudbury News Talk.
I want to show you something.
Stand by.
On the morning shift.
Anything
Could happen.
Sudbury News Talk on the morning shift.
All right, good morning, everyone. Welcome to Sudbury News Talk on the morning shift. I'm AJ Walsh. Thanks for being here. I'm glad to be here with you. We got a great show for today. Lots to talk about and two co-hosts on the show this morning. And we're really looking forward to a great chat on all of the different things going on this morning. But first of all, I just wanted to start off with some breaking news right out of the city of Greater Sudbury. Police presence in the corner of the Willow and Alder Street area. So if you're around there, police are asking the public to stay away from that area. Again, that's Willow and Alder Streets. There's not something going on there. Heavy police presence. There's nothing really more the police are giving other than to tell the public to stay away from that area. So I just wanted to start off with that just to get that out of the way because it's something that's breaking and it's going on currently. So yeah, so it's going to be a great show this morning. And there's, in terms of headlines to talk about. Presence in the corner of... There's always something technical too to deal with, just like today. Anyways, so there you go. Nothing new. We're on CKLU 96.7 FM, live each and every morning between 7:30 and 8:30. You can catch us online as well there. If you want to stream us, it's cklu.ca. You just click the Radio Player Canada app. The player opens. You can stream it there. And you can also download the Radio Player Canada app. Listen to us anywhere, anytime on your favorite device. Also, YouTube Live, Facebook Live. We're live streaming there. And hopefully, yes, we can get your comments today. That's always a plus. Good morning, Julia. Thanks for being with us. This is it's going to be a great show. So without further ado, let's just get the weather out of the way, and we'll be back with our co-hosts. We'll get the headlines, and then we'll get right into some of the meaty issues that have just came across our feed on Facebook late yesterday, and we'll talk about all that stuff as soon as we come back. So yeah, weather currently, it is 8 degrees. There is 100% humidity as there is a mist currently out there, and it's mainly sunny. Today, it'll mix of sun and cloud, clearing late this morning. Fog patches dissipating in the morning. Wind becoming southwest, 20 kilometers near noon. High of 21, UV index 20. Sorry, not 20. That would be like double the maximum. It's 4 or moderate, and then tonight it's partly cloudy, 40% chance of showers. Boo-hoo. Wind will be 20 kilometers, becoming light early this evening. Low tonight of 12. Thursday, cloudy, 40% chance of showers early in the morning. Showers beginning in the morning. Wind becoming 30 kilometers, gusting to 50. A little bit of wind Thursday morning. And then the high will be 13, getting a little bit cooler. And then plus 5 in the afternoon. The UV index will be kind of low. Anyways, Thursday, showers like we talked about. High of 13. Friday, cloudy, high of 5, and mix of sun and cloud, high of 8 on Saturday, and then Sunday, high of 10, mix of sun and cloud as well. Little look at your satellite, brought to you by Environment Canada. And so it's just, it's time lapse. It's between yesterday and today, so you can get a little idea of what's going on there. Excited to be back right after this with some headlines and our two guests, Pierre and Nick. We'll be right back after this. Okay, and without further ado, we'd like to welcome our guests on the show because there's lots to talk about today. and there's very little time. So here you go. Good morning, Pierre. Good morning, Anik. For some reason, your camera isn't showing up, Anik, so I'm going to try this all over again and see how this works. Let's go here, here, and here, and you're still not there in the in the picture. So we're going to just try to do something different here. We'll go solo for now, and we'll go solo here, Anik. You're there, so maybe that'll fix the problem. So good morning, Anik. How are you doing?
Good morning. I'm doing really good. It's so fun to be back on the show.
Yeah, it's been what, since last week? A little bit, like a week, I guess, ago. Maybe Friday, something like that. But yeah, it's great to have you here. And Pierre, good morning. How are you doing?
Good morning. Good morning. Nice to be here with you two.
Yeah, it's always a great chat. And today there's just so much to talk about and just dealing with this technical issue. So we're going to try this again, as they say in some parts of the world, again. Oh, and Nick was there, and then she went away. So let's we're going to switch this up a bit. We're going to try to put you in a different spot and just see if that fixes the problem. Yeah, and it did. Look at that. It was meant to be this way, I guess. I don't know. Something like that. Oh, we got a few good mornings here. We got Shane. Oh. Yo, yo, yo. And Jerome, good morning. And Mark, basically, he's an Anik fan. So he just says, Anik! Exclamation point. That's awesome. So, yeah, we got quite a few headlines here. If you're checking out our Facebook page, all kinds of things going on.
Lots is going on.
Oh, there's so much going on. Let's just...
Lots of drama, lots of excitement happening in Sudbury right now.
Oh, my. I'm just going to rip right through all these as fast as I can, and I'm just gonna maybe go full screen on it, so we can all kind of look along with it. And those on the radio, sorry you can't see it, but we'll do our best to describe it, and we'll go anyways. So mayoral candidates mull over the future of LU green space. That's from CBC News. Sudbury community members are hoping that 231 hectare green space doesn't fall into the hands of nefarious interests or whatever. So they want to make sure something is done with that, or into the hands of nefarious people, meaning developers wanting to develop things. So also the return of the Santa Claus parade. Yay. Where do I got my thing here? I don't know what's going to come out. It worked. So the return of the Santa Claus parade in Sudbury. Jolly St. Nick is making his way back to the Nickel City. And I guess that's a sign of the way things are going lately. Also, there's Sudbury Star reporting there's so many flaming hoops for housing in Sudbury right now. Planning Committee approves the 179-unit housing project that we talked about earlier that was being held back in Minnow Lake. Oh, we got Tristan chiming in. Tristan, good morning. Congratulations on your new venture in real estate. So great to hear about that. Yeah, Santa is in fact back. Other headlines here. Laurentian creditors owed the $116 million sat out of the debt plan vote, which I thought was really interesting because, you know, all the people that were owed debts were part of the vote. And you needed, a certain amount of the ones that were owed the most to weigh in. And there was like a formula in terms of how that vote would go. But the one that was owed the most debt sat out. So that was very, I don't know. If you read into that, what does that even mean? No idea. So, election issues. Does Greater Sudbury own too many buildings? I know a lot of people have been talking about that. Amalgamation saddled Greater Sudbury with many parks, facilities, arenas, and pools, possibly more than the city needs. And while working to bring the city-owned facilities more in line with community needs, it's often talked about, City Council has never actually followed through. We asked the candidates for their approach. So, again, these are the issues that are important to people in Sudbury. Yeah. Planning Committee did approve the 179 unit development in Minnow Lake. They did find the person they were looking for in that accident that had one fatality on LaSalle. So we talked about that on the show yesterday. They were looking for the other witness of that. And so there you go. That's all I want to cover right now, folks, because I think the other headlines I want to include our co-hosts in on here. So have you heard the big news yesterday? What was the big story? The biggest story, I guess, of yesterday? Any of you guys know what that was? What's that?
Is it about bigger?
It is. So Brian Bigger dropped out of the race for mayor, which is, that's...
Does he think he's not going to win? Is that why he dropped out?
I don't know. This is why we're talking about this. He cited family reasons for that. And...
we have a... Brian thinks it's the best news ever.
Wow. How that, I guess, well, thank you for that. I definitely wouldn't have expected that. So I'm not sure. Julia knows, I guess maybe I went through the news too fast about.
No, she knows Santa Claus.
Oh, she knows Santa. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. Just trying to keep up on the comments here. And she also says Miranda was the big story. Oh, yes, we're going to get to that as well. So all hail Santa,
Maybe,
sure.
Maybe Brian Bigger got a new job as Santa Claus.
Oh, no.
It's a big commitment.
Yeah, I don't know. I think if it was me and I was, Brian Bigger gave us an early Christmas gift. That's Shane. If I was Brian Bigger, I would do something like that. Like I just show, look, it's just, I'm still part of the community. I'm Santa, but I don't really think we're going to see that kind of, Brian Bigger going forward. Lots of skeletons.
Miles was just saying that, and I'm just thinking, you don't just pull out of a race when you are in the middle of the race. There's always a bigger reason, another reason why you would do that.
For sure.
And, it's okay because we're due for change, and we're looking for change, and now we know that Bigger will not be our mayor.
Yeah, exactly. Well, just having said that, let's just check in with the report from CTV covered this yesterday. So let's just watch the report on it. And they gave some statements from Brian Bigger, and let's just see what we think about that. I'll just get this on the screen, and I'll have to keep up with comments. So I apologize if I'm not keeping up with everyone's. But let's just see if the sound can come out from this.
Good evening. Thanks for joining us. We begin with a startling development from late this afternoon. The incumbent Sudbury mayor, Brian Bigger, is withdrawing from the municipal election race, citing family reasons. Bigger made the announcement this afternoon saying he will no longer be seeking a third term as mayor of Sudbury. He said he's been very proud to have served this community for the past 13 years, both as Sudbury's first Auditor General and then as mayor for 8 years. However, he says the mayor's job means that he can't spend as much time as he'd like with his family, and he said times have been recently tough on that front. Bigger saying in a statement, during my time as mayor, we've lost my mother-in-law, my father-in-law, a brother-in-law, and my father. My mother's health is now failing, and although she would never ask me, I feel that I need to spend more time with her. So with Brian Bigger withdrawing from the race, it leaves 8 candidates for mayor on the ballot. The election is on October the 24th, and this means that all 4 major cities in northeastern Ontario will have new mayors in this election.
Incredible too. Just that alone, that we're all going to get new mayors, I thought was an interesting. Not one mayor in Northern Ontario in the major cities are, the incumbents are going to continue or run even. Yeah, there's going to be all new mayors.
Wow,
That's a good thing.
I agree.
I'm just looking at the poll here on Sudbury.com, which I guess would have been updated by yesterday. Brian Bigger, 4.47%. Paul Lefebvre, 47%.
Exactly.
So,
wow, 4.7, and then he had 10 times more.
Evelyn and Miranda are kind of pretty close, 11.9, and Miranda 16. So, they looked at the numbers. I'm sure his, the family issues are legit, but who needs that stress? That's a thankless job, whether you're, a good one or a bad politician. It's just a thankless job. I don't know why anybody would want it.
Yeah.
Especially if that many people have passed away, that's really sad because there is a lot of people for some reason right now dying. It's just a lot of people dying.
Well, and what I thought too was 13 years it said he's been in, right? As mayor?
Yeah.
Isn't that what they said? Or in
8
government?
years as mayor.
Yeah.
5 years as controller.
Auditor General of Sudbury or whatever.
There's a bit
City
of
auditor.
scandal happening there.
So he was in charge basically of the accountability of the city's finances even before he was mayor. That he was the first ever auditor, whatever, of Sudbury. So he's actually more accountable than most mayors would be because he was the guy with his finger on the pulse of the city finances. So, I mean, there's a lot of accountability there.
That's why he was chosen in the first place.
I think so, yeah.
But, a bean counter is not a visionary. So, not always, right?
No.
Now, that's the truth, too. Like Shane is saying, if it was really family issues, then obviously we want to be sensitive about that. However, it's kind of normal to be skeptical of that reason, I would think, with just respect and being sensitive to that as well. You want to be sensitive but skeptical at the same time, because wouldn't you think he would have thought this kind of a decision through before putting his name in the hat for running? You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Wasn't all that long ago. Like, what changed a month ago from now? Like, you know what I mean? What changed in the month?
Yeah.
Right.
According to his situation.
This brings up the idea that we've talked about a lot before of term limits, right? 2 terms is enough. Career politicians just end up going down that slippery slope. 2 terms, if you can't get it done in 2 terms, go away. Because 8 years is a long time. I mean, and Nick, how old is your little one now?
She's going to be 5 in November.
Right. Like, look how fast that goes by.
I know.
But her entire life has been under Brian Bigger.
It's true. Guys, I was driving around. I left Sudbury and I drove to Hanmer, and as I got outside of Sudbury, I just saw the town. Like, my little town Hanmer is just not as cute as it used to be. And me and friends were talking about how the amalgamation was just, it kind of destroyed the outer cities, and now they're thinking of building in the valley. They're thinking of building this arena, this new bigger arena that has there's going to have 2 pads, but they're going to close down Capriol, Confed, and Centennial, which has 4 pads. So it's just, that's what they're doing. They're amalgamating. They're doing all these super things, super schools, super this. And they're just not really talking to us and asking us what we would like. It's a big problem. And this 179 units, why are we even building that? Like, why don't we have a treatment center? Why do we not have a treatment center? So it's just, I'm happy that people are leaving, because maybe new people come in and they actually care about this stuff, and they're going to spend their money wisely. Our money.
Yeah, exactly. There's a lot of really great comments here too. I just hope everyone's reading the comments. I'm not able to keep up on them, but I'll share them on the screen. Go ahead, Pierre. Sure. Your volume's a little low, by the way, just on the radio anyways. Here it's semi, whatever, but just my wife's monitoring the radio, just said your volume's just a little low. So that's fine. Just do your best. I guess use your outside voice. I don't know what to say. Speak with feeling. Okay, now you're muted. So, but that's okay. So maybe I shouldn't have said anything. I know sometimes it's better to just leave things. Right, Nick? You ever notice that?
Yes. Yes.
No volume.
So Brian Schutz says he got in because his promise was first year was not to raise property taxes.
Yeah.
And then they went up.
Yeah. Oh, he only did it for 1 year, apparently. Does make you wonder if his ego is too big to claim defeat. Possibly. Yeah, because he, like Pierre said, he was 4.7%? And Paula 5 was 47%?
Yeah.
Oh, that's way louder. Way louder, Pierre. That's awesome. Yeah.
My built-in microphone was not performing today, so apologize for that.
No problem.
Okay.
Miles does say he believes it was family issues, though, just him and his wife at home. We cannot put two and two together. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
If it was family issues.
The personal, it's kind of, it's really not our business. It's just, I think we should focus on the effect of it. And, he should have done, if he knew that he had these issues, he should have not entered the race. He should have just said, I've done 2 terms. That's enough. Let's open it up for new people. But that's fine. He can move on. We can, not even focus on his personal life because it's none of our business.
Yeah. But it would be so nice if people could just be a little bit more authentic and just even say, you know what, guys, it looks like the city wants change.
Yes.
And I've been around for 8 years and I've done my best. And you know what? I'm having family issues. All these people died. And I think, it's time for me to retire and I'll be in the background and I love Sudbury. I'm going to support as much as I can, but I'm going to focus on my family.
That's a good idea.
That would have been a real authentic message that would have got a lot of people on his side. Like, oh, that's so big of you. Before the election,
before putting his name in the hat.
Regardless, before or in the middle, guys, looks like the polls, it's just it feels like it's an ego thing.
Yeah. Well, I know people, if you want to read the comments, it's too big for me to put on the screen, but Natalie is kind of clarifying what's going to happen with the arenas. So that's really good there.
I can read it. Cathedral Arena won't close. None of the arenas have community halls attached to them will close, FYI. That's just misinformation. People have jumped to conclusions about the Valley East Twin Pad. Won't move forward without provincial and federal support as well, but I get what your worries are. They are legitimate with so many reports and misinformation shared. See, this is, Natalie, thank you for clearing that up. And you're right, there's tons of misinformation happening like that. Just fear-based information.
Yeah, exactly. But again, it's like, this is why we elect people. And we want to elect competent people. Because should we be really digging into all of these issues as much as we are, really? Is that our responsibility? I guess to some extent we need to be informed, but I really do think this is why you elect competent leaders and people in the community to make these types of decisions. Why should we be grappling with all of this stuff when really it's not like I got a full-time job I go to and I grapple with all kinds of things. And so you want to elect people that are going to make good decisions for your community that are for the betterment of everybody, Yeah. So
I know. It's like sometimes I just want everyone's bank accounts to be completely visible because if there's a big contract, it's like, oh wow, you've just got $50,000 deposited in your bank account for what? There's just a lot of that going on, and we, us Sudburyans, aren't trusting anyone, and it just feels like there's just our taxes are the highest, I believe, in
property taxes.
Yeah, and I think Ontario.
I don't know if it's exactly the highest, but I know compared to a
similar size city,
the same house in Toronto, like we well have market value, but ours is higher market value percentage. So the same house in Toronto, like I know people in Sudbury who pay $25,000 a year in property tax. They have a beautiful house, but the same house in Toronto would be about $8,000.
And they also don't even have services. These people don't even have a septic, they don't even have city water.
But that doesn't matter. It's the taxes aren't about services. They're about it's
land value, I guess. They are the value of your home and your land and everything.
Because if it was by services, then all the taxes would be less. Because think about how many people live on rural roads with no water and sewer. All they basically have snow plow and garbage. Is essentially what they have. But getting back to your comment earlier, Nick, about community, one thing that we have in Sudbury that I think it's just a tiny network of people who use it is the community action networks. They've got one. I just opened it up here because I used to go to the meetings when I lived down in Long Lake, and there's always some really engaged people, but there's never enough. So each community has one. Azilda, Cape Rail, Chelmsford, and I think that's the place you got to go to and just to really push. And you have to be involved. But if you have kids and if you have a busy life, it's hard to do that. But it's just a matter. We have to stay engaged.
But you're right, Pierre. Even if I have kids, okay, even if I just went to the meeting and shared my opinion,
Yeah.
that would be better than not showing up to the meeting and not sharing my opinion. And then this way, when you're meeting up with your other mom friends or whoever, you have a different discussion instead of talking about the drama that's happening. You're talking about real problems that are happening within our city that we could.
Yeah. Because, if I'm in a men's mastery group and we check in with each other every day, and we have 2 Zooms a week, like in depth, like they look at we have our daily planner, my goals for the week, my objectives, what I accomplished, what I didn't accomplish. If we did that with everything in our lives, like if we zoomed out, some families do this where you see, you go into a house and you'll see on their fridge, they've got a whole bunch of chores and who did what and everything. If we keep zooming out that way and just stay engaged with your family first, obviously, then your work friends and your colleagues, then your community. But if you just said, I'm doing an hour a week of community, disruption or whatever, I'm going to go to a meeting, I'm going to write an email, I'm going to write a letter, if everybody did that, or even if 10% of the population did that, imagine how things would be different.
This is true.
A protest would not be in the news because it would be all the time. They'd be like, okay, what's coming in today? Oh, gee. Okay, they're talking about the arenas. Who's going to handle the arena people? There's going to be, a Nick leading a troop of, 50 angry moms from Henmer or whatever. That's what makes change, right? It sounds cheesy, but it's true. I mean,
it takes effort.
Yep, and living online is limiting. It's there's nothing like a face-to-face.
No,
but it just seems like. It seems like for a while, City Council's been living in this kind of bubble. Like they've been in this big building downtown, and they've just been kind of like pulled the blinds down and really had no idea what was going on around them or whatever. Making these weird decisions, these legacy projects that are like tons of money that are just like they're just like virtue signaling to other communities and things like that with millions of our dollars instead of, so I just wanted to play this. There was a protest about the very things we were talking about at City Hall yesterday. So Sudbury Star actually interviewed the organizer of it. So I just want to share that a bit because it does go along with what we're talking about. It shows that we're pretty much, saying what a lot of other people are thinking too. So let me just share that.
Doing a rally wasn't in my comfort zone. It wasn't something that I enjoy doing, but having endured decades technically of neglect in the Onping Falls area, I couldn't sit idle while the next council came in. I needed to remind them that we are a part of the city of Sudbury. If that's what you wanted through amalgamation, you've got it. But there's a responsibility that comes with that isn't being acknowledged, I guess.
Does it feel during this last term of municipal government that issue was prominent?
Absolutely. I've always said that we do have representation, but it certainly seems that there's taxation without consideration, that there's legacy building that was going on that had no consultation with the residents of our area. We don't need multi-million-dollar projects. We just need roads. We need garbage removal. We need light fixtures that work for years on end. They just glow nothing. And I don't think it takes a lot for outlying areas to be happy, but as far as the leadership of the last council, it was almost non-existent. And we need a mayor that's involved in the community, that acknowledges outlying areas and its residents, and contributes to their growth and success as well.
So what do you guys think?
I agree with her. The amalgamation seemed like an ego move as well. And when your intentions are based on ego and based on money and not for the people, I feel like you're going to walk into some issues, challenging issues here. And when you have less people in control of a bigger area, of course there's people that aren't going to be heard. Of course there's going to be things that are going to fall through the cracks. And the cities in the outskirts are being affected.
How many communities did we amalgamate? Was it 22, I believe, or 18 or 22? A huge number.
Huge.
So the idea was to save costs on all these individual governments and all these individual, services and depots and so on, to save costs and make things more efficient, right? Which that whole idea of this kind of abstract central planner, we've got people from Lake Penage, living in Lake Penage, run by the same person who is at Rockies on Wanapitei Lake. Of that distance, that's an hour and a half drive. Completely different issues. Maybe similar issues because they're rural, but how are we even going to? We can't even police this.
No.
I don't even. I heard somewhere that there are 3 police cars on a Tuesday night. There are 3 police cars, 3 units on the street.
And right, Pierre. So I was thinking when we amalgamated, I bet you a lot of people lost their jobs.
Oh, absolutely.
Right? So less people, less money in their bank account for families that, only had to drive 10, 15 minutes to their office. And they could hear local people, the people down the street, what they were feeling. And maybe there was a bit more money spent, but the money was going back into our community is what we want to happen anyway. But now it's more money going into a few individuals' pockets, and that money is not going back into our community.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Miles was saying that it was a good protest with specifics and great reasoning. And I think just kind of like what I felt, and I think you both feel the same, is that what she was saying kind of resonated to what we've been hearing on this show and what we talk about, just in our personal conversations with each other on the same issues. I really do feel there's the majority of the people that feel the same things of what she said, and her name was Chantal Gorham.
And there's she's not even comfortable. That's not her thing. She's not a professional protester. She's just a citizen. So for just some regular person to come out and feel that means that the carpet's people feel like the carpet is just slowly being nudged out, right? And the politicians are like, la 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 la. I'm getting, I'm just doing my thing. I'm serving my backroom interests. And it's got to change.
It's true. They always say about the pendulum, right? It swings one way and then it swings the other way. And right now we've been completely neglected that now people are coming out of the woodworks to actually do something, help something, educate people, or just do this type of protest, which this would have never happened before. So there's a bit of a silver lining happening, and it's creating more noise, which is nice because we need as much noise as possible for these for our city to hear what we need. And it's not $100 million library. No,
but I think this kind of engagement should not only happen during an election.
No,
this should be all the time. It should be. So I won't name names, but a good friend of mine is very, very vocal in his sector, in his profession. And he jokes about, he said, oh, well, the last time I saw politician X in the airport, he ran away from me because he's afraid of me. He won't answer my emails. His staff have me on. And I know this man, and he's incredibly intelligent and legit, and he has very, very valid issues. They won't talk to him. And he's a leading professional. They run away. Every level of government. I'm talking all 3, all the way to he used to write a lot of letters to the editor and so on. So that's an example. He's like, oh yeah, I see him in the airport, and he runs. Literally. So how is that? That politician should be, hey, let's go have coffee right now. How can you help me?
And even if anything, what does it take to listen? Even if you don't have any intention of doing what the person is, or you don't believe what they're saying, or they're the only one who has that view in their riding or whatever, right? What's the cost of listening to somebody and say, I'll listen to everything, I'll do everything I can, I'm doing my best, to run away? I mean, that kind of speaks volumes.
Something about who you are. And they say if you want to, like, when people show you who they are, believe them. And when you see that's real action there. There's a lot of words. Politicians say a lot of things and write fun, like really great articles and make all these promises. But when you see someone in person and they can't even give you 5 minutes of their time, that just says a lot.
So go ahead,
Sorry.
Pierre. Go ahead, Pierre.
I'm just going to say the way it works if you're working for a company, you'll do maybe like in the military they call it an AAR, an after action review. So what was your objective? Okay, here's my plan for the next quarter. And we have a review. Here's your list of 12 items. What did you accomplish? Why didn't it go well? What happened? What were the obstacles? Why didn't you step up? And if it's less than 7 out of 10, you have to answer. Like you can't just, look over here at the beautiful shiny new library. No. We've got a lot of things to fix before
But this is the thing, who implements something like that? Because I think the people that have been working in this city for many, many years, they've kind of developed a gang, and then they bring the new people that are elected into their gang of not being held accountable. They don't want these reviews, they don't want these things, and so. Why would you, if you had a job, why would you always want your decisions and everything to be under a microscope? So if anything, you're always going to get further and further away from there if you're allowed. And if there's no one over you making sure you do these things, and you're the very one in charge who's going to hold yourself accountable, that doesn't really happen very often, and so I think that's what's happened with the city.
Well, this is the role of a journalist, right?
Setting. There's just a meeting every year, 1 year, or every 6 months. There's a big meeting that we all can attend, and the council discusses this 10 bullet points, and they discuss about what they did and didn't do, so that everyone is aware, and it's everyone's being authentic and transparent.
Maybe that's a project for us, Aaron. We're basically describing the proper role, the true role of a journalist in a democratic system. I mean, I forget who said this, but June Callwood said this. The role of a journalist is to hold up the establishment for examination, and if they are not pissing people off, they're not doing their job. This is as necessary to a democracy as free speech and private property. Those three things cannot exist independently.
It's funny you say that, because I was going to go through for a lawyer. I was totally on track. I was going to be a lawyer, and that was it. And the reason why I was going to be a lawyer is because I wanted to be able to have the ability to make change, to actually hold things accountable, to make things legit. And if you call someone, say, I'm a lawyer, a lot of times they'll stand up and take notice, because they know you got a bit of bite with what you're saying, and you can get things done that way. And then my life just kind of did a couple of turns and twists that I wasn't, thinking of, and it led in the direction of this. And I thought, you know what? Instead of the courts of the nation or the whatever of the authorities, we're in the public court here, and it's similar, right? So you get people, you can still share the argument and just like you would in a court and give that, but here you're in the public court, you're not in, Our Majesty's court or whatever.
I think this is a great idea, guys, because if council doesn't show up to our meeting or to the meeting, that even looks even bad. Mm-hmm. So now the next election, we will say, these people have never showed up to discuss their points and to fight for their spot. So I feel like they would have to participate. We could, as individuals, can create this ourselves, but we would need a lot of people to join in.
I mean,
it's kind of like when you create your own association, like organic, with the label that you want that label organic on product. We can create our own type of association that it has that stamp, and those are all just created. Regular people just create these things and then share it, and then people jump on board.
Well, I think it would have to, something like this has to go, right now the accountability is sort of, it's like the fox watching the hen house in there. It's just kind of like all this documentation, all this paperwork. No one's speaking language anyone really understands. It's long and drawn out. I mean, this could simply be a number rating, 1 to 10. Your performance every week, just like in a job. You work at McDonald's. If you're a French fry kid at McDonald's, you get a written review from your employer. Do we have that?
But who's making this written review and who's giving it to them and who's holding them accountable? That's what I mean. In the city, they are the ones who are giving it to their employees. But if they're not having that same, oversight, they can just be able to just run rampant. And that's, I think, what's been happening.
People spend hours a day on Yelp writing about their favorite restaurant, and it would be really interesting to see how often they write. You could have a Yelp review for your like
council member.
I've had a light outside my house, my street. I'm on Elm. It's pitch black out there at night. There's kids around. That light, I've emailed and called, I don't know how many times in the last 2 years. It's pitch black outside. It's just I'm sure it costs money to get up there and whatever, but it's a safety issue for traffic, for people.
It's a main road coming in from Chelmsford into the city.
Yes, we create a website.
400 feet stretch of pitch black at night.
Yeah. We create like a website like Yelp where people could post pictures and then people could like it and also comment it and vote on like these issues. And then in the end, you'll see the top 5 issues that Sudbury really cares about.
Yeah.
And you could submit these pictures and submit these videos, and we can have reviews on council. Oh, I met this person actually at the coffee shop. She was really nice. I'm going to give her a 5-star rating.
I think we're onto something here.
I think so.
Well, I think originally Facebook was supposed to be what we're talking about, right? Because
now the problem with that is some of those groups, they're just rant sessions. It has to be productive. It has to be not moderated, but evaluated. There has to be a baseline of intelligence and civility, so that it's
it can't be on Facebook. You have to submit. It has to be added to the website.
Yeah.
There's no rant.
No.
There's none of that. It's literally just posting your issues and review on council members.
Like a very quantifiable kind of way to do it, and accountability where you can't use a fake name, all those things, because that just gives it more cred, right?
Yeah.
It's like sports scores. They don't lie. You either won or you lost. No one says, well, I think they won. It's like, no, they lost. And here's why. And then you can bitch about why they lost. You can say, well, that person lost because they never show up to meetings. Or that person won because they always answer my emails. I get emails from that counselor at 10 p.m. There's one counselor that emails me that is actually very, very, very good that way. Anyway, that's something I don't know. I think that's the role of a journalist. But I mean, Sudbury doesn't really. I mean, we're pretty okay, but we're still corporate, right? There still needs to be a complete separate detachment. Which federally, forget it. We're screwed because the media is owned by the government, literally, physically, financially.
Well, it pays for it. It actually pays the salaries for all of our media. So if you can't bite the hand that feeds you, so they made it very easy for them not to be accountable by media. They're the ones who are paying them. So that's where their money comes from.
Did that for 200 years, or 100 and whatever it was, probably 150 years, I'm going to say. Magazines and newspapers survived as businesses. Some failed, some kept going. Some got swallowed up by big corporations, whatever, but they did survive. They got tax breaks and so on, but now it's like this direct handout.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It goes all the way down. It's to prevent culture, but come on.
Sorry there's a comment from Julia saying, imagine what would have happened to Miranda yesterday if the criticism could have been centralized.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Yep.
I mean, that's.
And that's going to be our story that we're going to be taking when Pierre, I know Pierre, you have to go. It's 8:15. So if you're able to be with us longer, that's cool. But I know you mentioned
waiting until they text me to get on my Zoom. How about that?
Okay, sounds good.
Got it open. Yeah. Okay. I'll stay on until they tell me to leave.
Okay, sounds good. So I just wanted to kind of make mention of it sounds like now it's Dutrazak, Rocca Turcelli, and Paula Five are the three main people running for mayor, with Paula Five way out in the lead for now. And he's doing, his strategy is just to basically not say anything specifically. He just says, I'm in favor of major projects. I'm not against anything. He's taking the middle of the road. And why? He is a seasoned politician. He has been there before. He's done that. He knows politics. And so I think there's a reason why he's so ahead in the polls. You remember, Nick, who I thought was going to be the front runner right from the beginning? I said Paula Five right from the beginning. I think he's the man who I think he's put there. That's what happens with a lot of people. They're told, okay, you're going to run for mayor now because you're our guy. And he has a direct link with the federal government, right? So that means, and it goes along with what his PR statement was the other day or yesterday. Paula Five, Sudbury needs more affordable housing options.
No. Well, yes, but we need services. Like, we need treatment centers. We keep building, but these.
But the reason why I bring this up is because that's what the government is telling us, and that's why they want mayors to have more power.
Okay.
They want mayors. Go ahead, Pierre.
Go deeper. Why do we need affordable housing? Because people can't afford housing. Why can't people afford housing? Because they don't make enough money, or they don't have jobs, or housing is too expensive. Why is housing too expensive? Because of inflation. Why do we have inflation? Because the government keeps borrowing money to build housing.
Yeah.
And the wheels on the bus go.
I don't understand. It's like the snake eating its own tail.
Yes.
So we all agree we need more affordable housing. I'm very lucky. My cost of living is very, very low. But I know people paying $1,800 for a dump. It's insane. They can't save. They don't make enough. So, okay.
That's also an issue. That's also a cultural issue. No one learned how to save money. That's an education issue. You know, some people have made better decisions. I don't come from, a wealthy home. I just made better decisions, and I saved my money, and I work really hard, and I work 10-hour days for a really long time to get my business up and running. And I don't work for someone. I work for myself. So I pay less taxes than the average person. Mm-hmm. So, it's a cultural issue too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yep.
But incentives for exist. There's a huge housing stock in Sudbury. If incentives for people to build, like there's tons of bungalows in New Sudbury and South End, big 4,000 square foot bungalows with a 60-year-old grandma living in it alone, with a huge, beautiful basement. And why don't we just loosen that up, let people have basement apartments, and give them incentives, tax breaks? If you renovate your house for a lower income apartment or whatever, one by one, it will change. But people who are living in the nice neighborhoods don't want this. So
well, we don't
necessarily
know that. Like, I don't know if that's actually. So, for example, like if my brother is going through issues, why am I not allowed to have a tiny home in my backyard for my brother instead of having a tiny home village downtown that Miles is like, that would fix downtown? No, because they would destroy them. There's no services, there's no therapy, there's no help, there's no healing, there's no conversation. So they're going to destroy all these tiny homes. Then they're going to be put back on the street. Then they get this. It's a whole cycle that just gets eaten up all over again.
Yeah.
So we need extra help. We need, to be sending them to a facility to be better, like just to help. Everyone's been traumatized, and if you don't deal with your traumas, you're going to make bad decisions in life.
Well, I think and the government though was saying that they want housing. The reason why they want to give mayors more power, and this came out a couple of weeks ago, is because of the housing issue. That's their main reason. And then they said, and any other things that are on our list. So they want mayors to have more power. So when the government over them says, we want this to roll out across the country or the province, then mayors can just kind of just say the word and it's done. And so things can get done quicker. So if you have, really good ideas, that's really good. But if you don't have so good ideas, it means things will just be done without that oversight or without that accountability that's supposed to be a ward council, and it's supposed to be a mayor working with council and all these things that are there for a reason, to stop things like that from happening. And the next councillor who's the incumbent, Signoretti, says, I will continue to apply the same common sense solutions and professional experience operating a small business in the financial sector to bring a realistic perspective to how we move forward and grow our city.
And what does that mean?
Well, that's just talking, kind of like a talking point or whatever. And I don't know what I know what I think about that as an incumbent. I think we're going to have we're going to have a new mayor for sure now. And I think we're going to have by and large, new council this election, just because people are fed up. I think it's going to be a vote against what's been going on rather than I think someone else is a better candidate. I think they're just going to send a message and say, again, we don't like what's been happening. And unfortunately, even if there was a good councillor who would be good in the new council, I think they're going to end up on the wrong end of that stick.
No, we need a full audit, top down, all the way.
Yeah.
Citizen run, 100 people, a complete audit of every desk, every service, every spend, everything, all the way through, and just ongoing. And they won't like it, but come on, man.
Yeah.
I know people in there
I bet you we can find volunteers
a year, going home at 4:00. And they don't care about the job. They just don't. They don't. It's a great job. They have nice benefits. And I don't begrudge anyone for making a good salary and all of that. But imagine if you were just saying, I'm going to be in peak state. I'm going to go 10%. And I want to shine in my desk job at City Hall. And I want to serve. And I want people to feel like I want a good Yelp review on how I helped that guy with his building permit. Instead, I was just dealing with a contractor yesterday. The frustration over something like building permits, it's back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. It's like no one is like treating it as customer service. Like we're paying their salaries. It's billions of dollars. Come on, man. If this was a company, it would be bankrupt. It would be shut down and broken up and sold into parts.
And that's what we might be facing. Look at our university. It's exactly what happened there. Yeah, exactly.
I don't know, man. Just it's frustrating, and it's and also the people who do go in with a vision and all of that, it's stifled. 18 months later, circles under their eyes. They're defeated. And it's like, I just got to do my job. I want my pension in 20.
Yeah, no, that's the problem, and that's why we need to keep talking about this. This is, a uncensored Sudbury news talking about local things, and we need to keep having the conversation going. So it's great to have these conversations. It's great people watching it, people sharing it, and keep having the conversation going, because if we're not having the conversation going, we're going to forget about it, and we're going to get distracted with life, and that's what they want to do.
Of course.
They want to keep distracting us so that we're focused on other things than what's going on in the city, and that we're not really noticing all the effects that are happening to us personally, but there's a lot.
And then one last thing before we got to go, because we got about 3 minutes left, and I'll just mention this real quick. So Adam is saying, what kind of coffee do you drink, Nick? In the morning? You speak with so much enthusiasm and passion this early in the morning. Great to listen to. So you obviously have a Nick fans here as usual, so that's awesome. But something I think Julia was alluding to was in the news as well, speaking to what the mayoral candidate Miranda Rocca-Turcelli says attempts to shake convoy reputation. Mayoral candidate Miranda Rocca-Turcelli has claimed she did not support a truck convoy despite past social media activity to the contrary, alongside other anti-vaccine rhetoric. So what do you got to say about that?
Why even talk about it?
Is this even an issue?
Yeah, it
why
is.
Why are we even talking about it? So
yeah, because people brought it up.
Miranda, you're against freedom?
Well, no. She said, so again, this is what I think she was for it, but now people It looks
saying
like
she's an anti-vaxxer?
Well, because she said certain posts while the convoy was going on and whatever. So let's just read a bit here.
She's for it.
Yeah, past support for the so-called Freedom Convoy of people opposed to vaccine mandates has come back to dog mayoral candidate Miranda Roccatricelli on the campaign trail. During Monday's mayoral town hall at Indy Cinema, she was asked where she stands on several months after the convoy movement started, having expressed support for it in the past. Now, this is one thing. So that was the kind of environmental one. How do they feel about climate change and all of those things? So that was at the Indy Cinemas. And I was going to mention something too, just the picture of everybody at the one at the senior center. No one was wearing masks. Everyone was just kind of talking or whatever. The picture at the Indy Cinemas, every candidate's wearing masks at the table and whatever for the camera.
At the Indy. No, well, actually, the Indy has a policy of we prefer people to wear masks, but it's not mandatory. That's what they say.
For sure. So. But I think it goes along with, there's the, if you were talking about ideologies and things like this, it's about the climate, it's about the planet, it's about, that type of thing. And then that's where she was given that question about, what do you, we found something about you supporting the truckers, you know what I mean? So it gives you an idea of where it's coming from, right? So it's coming from the opposite of that, point of view.
She wasn't on friendly ground there. No, definitely.
No, for sure. And I talked yesterday, someone said, at least our local candidates aren't affiliated with any party. I think that was from Kerwin. He said that's local candidates or whatever aren't affiliated with any parties. And I said, I wouldn't go that far. I think if you have a party, you have an ideology kind of and ethics that you adhere to. And I think that follows you into your municipal politics as well. And I think you see that as well.
I think officially we're not supposed to be party affiliated, but I mean, we know everybody's politics.
How are you not?
Yeah, you might as well just be upfront about it.
And that's another thing. I think reporters, I have an idea before. If you're a reporter, it should be public knowledge who you voted for in the past 5 years, let's say. I know it's as a citizen, you should have, the privacy or whatever to do that, but you're out there promoting ideas and you're reporting on it. And so I should know if I voted NDP, Liberal, or Conservative to know I might have a little bias in my reporting. Also, local candidates should be public knowledge of who they vote for as well and what their affiliations are, because you might say, you know what I mean? You have those ideologies of something that I may not particularly care for as well.
Miles says the media wants to divide people using anti-mask perception. So that's exactly what was happening with Miranda. And I don't know, Aaron, if at the bottom of my screen I could write "Go Miranda, go," because now for someone to just be, that's called inclusive. That is inclusive. When you're inclusive and you support everyone and everything, that's being inclusive.
Yeah.
But
if you're against one group, like the truckers, we're against them. Well, now who else are you against? So now I'm not for all people, I'm for groups. And then that's called identity politics. And now you're splitting people up. And then that's a tactic. Now, unfortunately, we got to leave it there, guys, just because the time is up.
All right.
The clock.
Come back on the show tomorrow.
Thank you so much from the bottom of my heart, you guys, for being on the show this morning. You don't know much. It's just an awesome comment. Thanks, Pierre. Yeah. And thanks, Nick. And thanks all you all for being with us this morning. We appreciate that. And we'll be back same time, same place tomorrow, right here on Sudbury News Talk on CKLU 96.7 FM and on Facebook and YouTube Live. Thanks for everybody. Make sure to like, share, subscribe, all that stuff. And stay tuned now for Earshot Daily on CKLU 96.7 FM. Ciao.